That's right, doing a Let's Play series of Subnautica.
In the late 22nd century, humanity is beginning to colonize space. Before colony ships arrive, habitation vessels are appointed terraforming missions. The Aurora was one such vessel. During its descent, the Aurora was struck by a mysterious energy pulse, resulting in catastrophic hull failure. A single life pod jettisoned prior to impact. You were in that life pod.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the DX Gamer Show. My name is Mike, aka Operation DX, and welcome to the very first episode of a new series on my channel, Subnautica. This is a game developed and published by Unknown Worlds Entertainment, and I've got to say, this game is fantastic. I love it. So why am I choosing to do a Let's Play series of Subnautica now? I mean, the game has been in early access for almost a year at this point. It was released in December 2014. And to answer the question, I really wasn't aware of this game. It was suggested in a previous series that I check this game out and do a Let's Play series of it. I started to play this game, and I was just infatuated. There's a good chance you missed my whole opinion spiel on games in general and coming across games that I feel are gems and how I try to relish the experience when I come across a game that I find really fun. And what surprised me about this game is it appears really simple, but I don't know what it is about it. Like, the game is just so freaking fun. I can't stop playing it. Honestly, I think it's just great. Alright, so before I go ahead and get into the specifics of what exactly I'm doing and why I'm doing it and all of that, or if you haven't seen Subnautica and you haven't played it, you probably want to know about these things. But let me just go ahead and outline the series real quick. So I plan to make this a kind of Monday through Friday thing, so one episode a day. These episodes are going to be 15 minutes long, typically like most of the series that I do on my channel. Pretty much no compromise on that. It's 15 minutes, and that's what I'm going to do. With the exception of splicing together gameplay sessions, this is going to be a raw series. So no edits, no speed-ups, just straight gameplay, and that's kind of how I'm going to roll with this one. Now that I have outlined the basics of the series, let's go ahead and get caught up. Let's talk about what I'm doing here. So, if you haven't figured it out, if you're not aware what Subnautica is, clearly you can see that it's some sort of survival crafting game, yeah? You see that I have a food meter, a water meter, a health meter, an O2 meter, and all of that. So, when you start off in this game, you want to kind of get some of the basics established. There are a lot of different directions you can go when you start off in this game, but food is important, and being able to drink water is important. In order to drink water, we can't just take the ocean water. We have to make this bleach substance, and then we can purify our water kind of thing. So we need to get salt, and we need to get a couple of particular kind of plants. But in order to get those plants, we need to craft a knife. And to craft a knife, we need to get things like silicone and titanium. Titanium is the raw metal that you just saw me pick up. In order to craft the silicone, I need to pick up these little diamond-looking things that's quartz, and that can craft into silicone and glass. Now, at first, some of these things don't seem like super important to get, but titanium and quartz are almost like a core resource in this game. And you really want to be on the lookout for it and always getting it while you're playing the game, because there are some bigger things that come along later on that you want to be established and have those things. Like most of the series I do, I try to do these things to streamline the series.
Scanning the Aurora, zero life signs detected. Lethal radiation levels detected. The main drive core has malfunctioned. The primary dark matter containment field has dropped to 36% amplitude. Continuing to monitor.
In the initial phases of Subnautica, there is a just tiny little bit of story elements going on, and of course, when something relevant pops up, I'm going to turn the volume up so you can hear what the computer is saying, and so you can kind of get that. I think it's important to kind of see this stuff because some pretty cool stuff happens, and we'll see that throughout the first couple of episodes. Alright, so I feel it's important to kind of bring this up as well early on here in this first episode. So as far as Subnautica goes, my perspective on the game is a little interesting because I'm just exploring this game for the first time right now, okay? I'm not really familiar with how far along this game has come, how many patches have been released since December 2014. I do know that I came in at a fantastic time because just before I bought this game, they released the underwater module or base building, which is epic. It's freaking epic, man. As far as a crafting building game goes, I don't know. This is really like becoming quickly one of my very favorites. If this game keeps getting more interesting with further updates, my goodness. This is going to be, like, to me, the granddaddy of these kind of games. You know, most creative type games have been all about blocks. And, you know, trying to do your best with these blocks to make something creative like a house or whatever. And some other games have tried to do something a little more interesting, like have established, like, stuff. But it just hasn't quite worked for those games. In this game, it just friggin' works. It just works. It's so awesome. I'm not going to get ahead of myself because we're going to see that stuff probably in the first few episodes as well because I want to get established. But it is just freaking so awesome. I can't stop saying freaking. All right. So you'll notice these like little boxes around the ground. I don't know why these aren't textured. They must be like new to the game or something. But they look like little safes. And those are essentially little fragments of technology that I can unlock. In order to unlock those technologies, I need to place them on something called a analyzer. It's kind of like a workbench that you stick this stuff in, and after a period of time, depending on how many of a certain type of technology you pick up, will give you the ability to build these things. So it's important that I kind of collect them. In order to unlock more advanced technologies in Subnautica, I'm going to have to explore the world, as you would expect. The challenge is, some of these biomes that you have to explore get deeper and deeper and deeper, and that is part of the challenge of the game. In order to get to these areas, I'm going to need to craft certain things, like better gear and that sort of thing, and that's some of the stuff we'll see in the initial phases of this game. Again, if you happen to be unfamiliar with Subnautica, this is the main crafting station in the game, or the fabricator. This is where you're going to turn a lot of the raw resources that you find around the world into usable resources. This is also the station where you're going to be cooking your food and producing your water, along with equipment and some smaller machines. You do in fact have to build some larger machines in order to craft certain things in this game. And again, we'll get to that. I don't want to go too far ahead. Now, this may appear to be a kind of simplified crafting station compared to other games. But you know what? I like this thing better than most of the games that I've played. I love the UI, and it just works. You see what resources you have, what resources you need. You hover over the UI, you get a tooltip. It tells you what you need. And it still allows for a deep crafting system without being overly complicated. So, again, like a lot of the games that I absolutely love, Planet Explorers, some recent games that I've been talking about, you have to do subcomponents in order to create bigger components, and I love that sort of crafting system. Even though it seems, like I said before in another video, a thing that should be standard in these kind of games, I don't know. It's in this game, it's fantastic, and I really, really like it. I can't say it enough how much I like the crafting system in this game. In case you missed it, I did in fact craft a couple of things here that are important to grab early on in the game. I got a piece of equipment and a tool. So I got my knife, and I got a pair of flippers, which required the subcomponents I was just talking about. So the flippers allow you to swim a little faster. Makes it a little easier to catch some of those faster fish, like the peppers you were seeing me catch earlier, the guys with the big eyeballs. And those are pretty much one of the best things you can catch in this game as far as food is concerned. And then I got my knife. Now the knife is important because you need to break hard coral. You then take the broken pieces and combine it with salt, which is the little white blocks you've kind of seen me pick up. And that makes the bleach in order to craft the purified water like I was talking about earlier. And then there are these red disc-shaped, I want to say coral, again, and you take those chunks and you can turn them into higher-end things like computer chips and that sort of thing. So we do have a day-night cycle going on here in Subnautica, and it really kind of changes the environment. I really love the atmosphere of this game. It looks fantastic. But nighttime comes with its benefits. It makes it really easy to spot the quartz. So I go on a quartz hunt usually at night, and this is another core resource that you need to collect a lot of. So it's important early on to establish some sort of storage, which we'll see how that is done in a little while. But there is a small storage bay aboard your escape pod, but it's pretty limited.
Caution. Readings from the Aurora suggest erratic fluctuations in the primary dark matter containment field. A breach of the main drive chamber may cause a cascading quantum flux detonation.
Just in case it's not obvious what the Aurora is, it's the ship that you flew to this planet in order to terraform it. However, like in the beginning of the game, it got shot by some sort of energy field and crash landed. So it is the big burning ship right outside your escape pod. I think we took a look at it earlier. And yeah, so it is apparently in bad shape. The crash zone around the Aurora is irradiated. So if you don't have the proper gear, you cannot get anywhere near the Aurora without taking radiation damage. So for the time being, we're going to be staying away from that. Anyway, you just saw me open the storage compartment on this little escape pod, and I did put a couple of things in there, but I gotta pay attention. I need to be careful of not filling up my inventory completely, although inventory management in this game isn't all that bad. Alright, so now I am crafting some critical gear that I definitely need, and it does take up inventory slots. These are oxygen tanks. The oxygen tanks increase my overall OT levels. So I started off with 45, and now I have 2 oxygen tanks. Now I have 105. This, of course, lets me spend more time underwater and allows me to go a little deeper and explore the surrounding biomes a little more easily. So it's important to get these things out of the way. If you notice, they didn't go in a equipment slot. They go in your inventory. So you can build a bunch of these, but you have to sacrifice inventory space. And there isn't really anything you can craft later on in the game in order to increase your inventory space. The only thing that you really can do is get some additional storage. For now, all we have to work with is the storage compartment on board my escape pod until I make some further progress. But I'm doing my best to try to get the critical resources so I don't get kind of stumped and slowed down. So I'm going to try to keep this as focused as I possibly can. Although there probably will inevitably be moments where I lose a little bit of focus or get distracted by certain things because, things happen in this game where, you start running low on health or food or your water and you just forgot to pay attention to it for a while. And yeah, things do happen. So here we go. We're breaking apart these coral chunks, like I talked about before, combining salt. And yeah, okay, so these are called red jewel discs. They're not coral, they're red jewel discs. So we collect these, those turn into computer chips, and the one we did before turn into the bleach that I was talking about before. So, yep, that's why we need the knife. It's very important. We couldn't survive very long without it. Now, there is a piece of equipment that I do want to get as soon as I can, which allows me, it's like a special suit that reclaims water kind of thing. So it allows me to kind of, every once in a while I'll get like a little drop of reclaimed water in my inventory and I can go ahead and drink that. And I don't have to focus on constantly making bleach and into water. These things are really cool too. They help fill up your O2, especially in deeper areas. So you always want to keep a lookout for these kind of things. Anyways, this does it for the first episode. Thanks for watching, guys.